Hey there, friend! Welcome back to the Closing Chapters podcast, where every mission has a story. So, needless to say, mom wasn't getting any work done, little guy wasn't getting his consistent naps that he needed, and we were all on the struggle bus. Oh, did I mention that dad deployed 3 weeks before Clara started at this new school? Children are where they need to be. Our children are happy, they are thriving, and they love their people. I failed to recognize that when you have a family, the dynamic changes, right? And honestly, our children's needs come first in terms of like their daily necessities and what they need. Hey, how are you? So today is an interesting conversation. I have a confession to make and also a pretty big apology. Let's start with the confession, shall we? If you didn't know, we moved again. So we originally moved to North Carolina in March of 2024. And that was after transition from going to Tennessee to Fort Leonard Wood for a couple months for a military school, and then going back to Tennessee to out process and over to North Carolina. A lot of shifting around. But anyhow, we got here at the end of March 2024. Loved our house. We were having a great time starting renovations in our house. And then life changed. Have you ever had that happen? This is one of those lessons where we're like, geez, you think back and you're like, did I do the right thing? And this is a conversation that my husband and I have a lot right now. And we keep saying, there was a purpose, right? We have a different plan now, and it's all going to be okay in the future. Right now, it feels heavy. And let me explain. So we started in the end of summer, fall last year, right? A new school for my daughter. And she was in preschool. She was 4. She was 4K. And it wasn't a good fit. It was a couple day a week, like mom's day out program. And it wasn't driving well. And my kiddo is a fanatic for school. She loves it. She loves people. She is so kind and loves hard. So when she was struggling, we knew we needed to make a change. It was one of those moments where it was like, okay, what do we do in this scenario? This is legitimately the only preschool in our immediate area. So do we just take her out? And it's really hard to get into preschools here too. So do we just take her out for the year and she has to stay home with me and her brother? And what does that mean for me for work? Like just the whole gamut, right? And I kid you not, we had this conversation. We tried to do the talk to the teacher thing. We sat on it for a little bit. I went to a meeting with some of my church moms, and it was a small group meeting, and talked about it there and said, what do I need to do? What should I do? What do you think? And when we went home that afternoon, I received an email from a different facility that our children do recreational gymnastics at, that they had an opening in their preschool, and it was in the 4-year-old room. And I was so ecstatic. It was like the answer was just sat in our lap, which is phenomenal. So we were able to get that spot, and it was night and day, not without some hardship along the way. So we went from 3 days a week to 5 days a week, and we were traveling 45 minutes one way, which is tough when you have a 2-year-old in the car with you for over 4 hours a day. So, needless to say, mom wasn't getting any work done, little guy wasn't getting his consistent naps that he needed, and we were all on the struggle bus. Oh, did I mention that dad deployed 3 weeks before Clara started at this new school? Yeah, that piece. So, no help trying to figure this all out on my own. Of course, not his fault, but it was just a heavy season. So we regrouped and made a plan B. One of the beautiful things about this area in Pinehurst and Southern Pines is that it's kind of a destination place. It's a golf retreat area. So there are short-term rentals in this area, more so than other places. So we were able to snag a 1-bedroom condo for a 3-month stint. So after the beginning of the year, I said, I just need something to help us get through spring, get through the end of the school year. Dad will be home at the end of June, and then we will figure out what we're doing from there. So that's what we did. We got ourselves a cute little condo and kind of geo-batched, went back and forth. There was a lot of nights that we still had to stay at our house 45 minutes away, but at least gave me a place to be during the day, to get work done, to let my son take a nap, to allow babysitters to come in so that I could go to appointments. It just gave us the space we needed, and we were so thankful and blessed that that opportunity existed. So fast forward to the end of the school year, and I am just nervous. Like, what do we do? Our daughter has now gotten into a charter school over in Aberdeen. Our son is going to be going to the same preschool in Pinehurst, and we're so tickled about that. Our children are where they need to be. Our children are happy, they are thriving, and they love their people. So what are we doing? Are we going back to our house? Are we going to keep going back and forth? What does this look like? And finally, we made the decision that we needed to find a rental over in Moore County. Hence, we have moved. So we were actually able to line up getting into a rental the week my husband came back from his deployment, and we have spent the summer hitting the ground running, trying to transition between 2 different places and a lot of in between. So we are almost fully into our house here. I didn't mention that we still haven't finished our renovations at our other house. So my sweet husband has been taking every little nook and cranny of time available outside of my schedule to work on the house as he can. And what I mean by outside of my schedule, like, it's my busy work season. So I have been pretty MIA. He has literally been taking time off of work to stay home with the kids so that I can travel for work, travel for family stuff, and just knock it all out. Not to mention all the evenings that I call and say, hey, I need to meet you with the kids and pass them off. So I have really jeopardized his time and made that even more challenging. So what are we doing with that house? We are really kind of sad to leave that house because we were very particular about the floor plan, the layout, what we wanted for the functionality of our home. And it did that for us. There was different spaces for us to flex into and utilize in ways that we wanted for the kids and for me to have that ebb and flow of, like, being able to have a babysitter there and let me still be at home working, or have a safe area for the kids to play in while I'm downstairs working. Whatever the scenario was, we had ways to shift around and make everybody have spaces. So it's a little bit bittersweet on that front. But we have learned that you have to follow where life takes you. And we have also learned that location matters, right? Location, location, location. We preach it all the time as realtors, but when it is you and your situation, we turn just into a normal buyer, right? We are afraid of the numbers. We are afraid of the risk. We are looking at the time that our husband's going to spend in the car. There's all of these factors, and you're trying to figure out the best meat in the middle, just like you guys. Sometimes we forget that we are the professionals in this business and to think like a professional when we are literally just a consumer at that point in time. So we obviously are not going to be living in that house anymore. However, we're running into the typical situation that most military families do. When you buy with a VA loan, if you do not pay your funding fee up front, that gets rolled in on top of your mortgage. So we do not have enough equity in our house to sell it. And our mortgage payment is so high that if we rented it vacant, we would be losing money. Kind of a tough situation. So now what? Well, that's where I'm hoping that we get to solve a problem for us and for our community, which I'm super excited about. If you've ever heard about me talk about our quad back in South Carolina behind Shaw Air Force Base, we have, it's actually 50-50 now. We have 2 furnished units there and 2 that are long-term vacant units, 2 apartments. So our furnished units do very, very well for us. So we are going to up the ante. We are going to turn our house in Cameron into a furnished rental. And we're very excited about it. It's a little bit tedious. It's a little bit scary to do it on a bigger scale, but we also acknowledge that we're in a really good area for Fort Bragg, and we are hoping that that's going to be helpful through PCS seasons, through holidays, when families are coming to visit. There's not a lot of great options for hotels on our side of town, and you have to kind of travel into Fayetteville or into Sanford to get to like the next areas where stuff is at if you're not right there in our nook. So if you have somebody that is living on base or living in the surrounding areas, in the Spring Lake area or the Cameron area, we're going to be a fantastic location for that. And I know that we're going to be an amazing resource for some families that are in limbo waiting for housing or trying to figure out what they're doing. So we're pretty tickled about that. And that is what we are working on right now. So we are buttoning up all of the repairs and getting it ready. We literally just kind of made the decision to leave most of the furniture there and bring the items that we know we needed or utilized the most to the new house, and have filled the gaps at both places slowly. So it has been a very, very interesting summer. Now, one of the big confessions I need to make about this is that, right, life does not always go the way we intend. And the lesson learned here is it doesn't mean you need to stay stuck in that place, okay? When I tell you that I was frazzled, dazzled, burnt out, like losing my marbles, it was a lot. It was a lot, okay? Deployment is a lot. Being a mom is a lot. Trying to work while you're a mom is a lot. You put all of those things together, it is like overload, overdrive, and it was catching up to me really fast. And I used to have a very big reputation for being pretty stoic. I love taking everything on. I want that pressure most of the time. And enough was enough. I was sinking. I was not floating. And it was time to realize that it's okay for us to find a plan B. And it's kind of a little bit of a gut punch, right? You just put all this money into this property to buy it. You just put all this money into the property to renovate it. You haven't even lived there and enjoyed it, right? However, it is now going to be an investment for us, right? It's going to be a tool. It's going to be a resource, and we're going to be okay. So I say that as a reminder that if you end up in a similar pickle or situation, you buy a property and in far too little time, you realize you need to shift, you get orders, life happens, and all of a sudden you are stuck with this house that you don't know which way to go with. Let's have a conversation, because there's more than one answer. And I can tell you that even if we had to choose, take furnished rental off the table, if we were going to choose whether we were going to sell the house and lose money, just have to pay out money to sell it, or rent it and lose a little bit of money, we would 100% rent it and lose some money. Why? Well, because we have some other rentals, so it's all one pot of money, right? Like I can put all of our rentals into one area, and as long as they're all ebbing and flowing a little bit, then they probably all cover each other just fine. So there's that. Okay, but two, even if that didn't exist, I would rather take a couple $100 loss each month for a little while and still be building up equity and know that I'm going to make the larger gain in the future, right? I still have my long-term savings account situated. And oh, by the way, if rates go down and I can refinance, then it's probably going to be right where I need it to be and be able to clear itself. And as long as it's clearing itself, then once again, I'm building equity, which is a long-term savings plan for me. And then in the future, when we're ready to cash in on that equity, we've got it, right? So that is my thought process on that. And I hope that can be helpful, because I know there's a lot of military people that get stuck in this very situation. And all too often I hear other agents say, well, they didn't have a choice. They needed to sell it. Well, but why? Why? Why are we giving $30,000, $40,000 away if we would just hang tight to it and let somebody else cover it for a little while? So I think sometimes we don't think through all of the options or talk through all of the options with our clients and just say, hey, have you considered this? And there's some people that absolutely don't want to rent. And I get that. It's scary to them and they just don't want to do that. They do not want to rent out their property. However, it can really be a nice in-between to carry us over for a little while if that's what we need in that time and space. So just a reminder that if there's a will, there's a way. and there's always a plan B if we need it, okay? So that is my confession. We are in Aberdeen, North Carolina now, and I cannot say enough about being happy about being over here, to be honest. It is like a dream come true. We are loving our neighborhood. We are enjoying the fact that we have sidewalks back. If you have listened to me, you know my sweet daughter has been so sad about the fact that our old neighborhood did not have sidewalks and has been telling me she wants to move back to Tennessee so that she can have her sidewalks back. So we have solved that problem now, and it's just beautiful. It makes you feel good when you walk outside. We are close to both of the kids' school. We are close to our church. Now we are truly ready to build a community around us, and I am so excited about that. And I'm going to tell you one of the other things that really struck my heart and made me say, look, I really think this is where we need to be. When my daughter was at school, I would go out to lunch with my son a lot. We would do lunch dates just to break it up a little bit. And I would start to notice that when we were at local restaurants that people would come in and there was and talk to one another, which I just think is fabulous whenever people know each other within the community. But there was this one particular day, I was at a Thai restaurant in Pinehurst, and these two gentlemen were talking, and this lady comes in and she slaps one of them on the back and looks at the waiter and says, "You better be taking care of so-and-so and so-and-so. These are good men. You know that, right?" And the waiter said, "Yeah, I do. And, they're in good hands, whatever." And it was a great conversation. But I was like, that is what I love, and that is what I miss, right? So when we were in Sumter, South Carolina, it is a small, tight-knit community. And when you are out and about in town, right, everybody knows everybody. Somebody has someone to talk to, and it just makes you feel connected and that you're a part of something. And I have been missing that for far too long. So I'm so ready to find my way and create my community here in Moore County. So that is our transition. That is our news, and lots of exciting news to show when we have our updates on our house, when it's finalized and we can start showing it off and put it on the market for our furnished rental. And a lot of people say, well, what are you going to do with it? Is it going to be an Airbnb or a midterm or what? And we're going to kind of let it decide what it's going to do for itself. If I could tell you from our history with our current Airbnb, it ends up being more of a midterm rental situation. We have had more people that need to stay in it a month or longer than, like a couple days or a week stint type of situation. And honestly, that would be amazing in the same facet here. We would love to create stability for someone that needs it for a little while and have that be a safe haven for them. So all good things to come. We're super excited. Now, the apology. I need to apologize. And this goes back, way back. I started in real estate in 2016, so 9 years ago. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I've had this conversation because it was my view, my way, my thinking. And I was a military spouse, of course, back then too, but I was not a mom yet. And that has enlightened me quite a bit, especially going through the transition of having to realize that your child's not where they need to be and getting them where they need to be. Or that there's not things around for families that you want around to have ease of access to. It was very, very eye-opening. So the conversation I used to have a lot with families is, what is the priority, right? Where do you want to be? Why do you want to be there? And so often families would choose to have the military member traveling further away, 30, 45, 50 minutes away. And I always had a hard time wrapping my head around it. And sometimes it was mainly people that were working shift work. They were going to be nights or they were going to be swing shifts. So to me, I really, really had a hard time saying, I don't understand why you would want your spouse to work a 12-hour shift and then get in the car for 45 minutes to an hour and drive home, right? Like that really just hurt my heart. I was like, one, why would you want to give up another 2 hours of your day away from your spouse when they're going to be working these crazy hours? But two, safety-wise, wouldn't you want them to be close by so that they could just get home? Or if they're working a 12-hour shift, to be able to come home for lunch and see you guys for a little bit? That is where my head was like, you're losing all of this time with your person, and while they're home, we want our families together. So that was really strong in my head and my heart. However, I failed to recognize that when you have a family, the dynamic changes, right? And honestly, our children's needs come first in terms of like their daily necessities and what they need. So I had families that needed to be near specific therapies or medical facilities, or wanted to be near children amenities where the museums were at, where the zoo was at. And to me, I was like, you're not going to the museum every day. You're not going to the zoo every day. Why does that matter? You can go every once in a while. Well, some of my families were homeschool families, or some kids were in school, some kids weren't. So they wanted to be out and about with their children and have places for them to go and things to do easily. And that has been extremely enlightening over the past year, figuring that out for ourselves. So I apologize to any of my fellow military spouses that I've had that conversation with and just didn't understand. I did not see through your lens, and I get it. And it still hurts my heart that my husband's going to be traveling back and forth to the base. I don't love that, but we talked about it thoroughly, and he said, well, you know, it's either you and my 2 children are traveling back and forth every day, or I'm traveling back and forth every day. I'd rather take the gamble on me. And so he has led us to be able to make this decision, which I'm very, very blessed and thankful for. So there you have it, my friends. My confession, my apology. So I hope that you understand and know, like, even if you're not in the military world, right? Things happen, life happens, we make decisions, and then our circumstances change, right? And that's okay. It is okay. If there is a will, there is a way, and we just have to find our path forward. And remember, when we purchase a property, that is meant to be a tool. Okay. Is there emotion attached to it? Yes. Is there a strategy attached to it? Yes. There's a lot that it goes into purchasing a home, right? But it's okay to say, all right, this was what I needed for now, and it got me where I needed to be for now, and it's time for me to shift. It's time for me to change. Where can I go next? What are my options? What does this look like? Right? So I would love to be able to be a resource for you if you ever get yourself in that pickle and just need to synergize and talk through it. If you ask my husband, that's one of my favorite words, is synergy. He asked me the other day, he said, why are you so stuck on that? Why do you love the idea of synergizing so much? And it's simply this. I love to work through things, but I also like to reflect back. I think all too often, we have the answers within us and can say them clear as day, and we don't hear it ourselves. So I love being able to listen to people and take in and just say, well, what about this? Do you recognize that you just said that? Isn't that the solution to your problem? And it's amazing. And I think that that works right in business. I think that it works on a personal level. I think it works with our clients. And I truly get joy out of it. I get joy out of watching other people thrive and be able to move forward and do great things with their lives. So if you ever need a synergy partner or someone just to bounce something off of, man, I am your girl. I will talk to you around and around and around, and we will figure out what next looks like. So I hope you have a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and just know that it's okay to make shifts and changes. And, you know, life has a sneaky way of showing us where to be and holding our hand and guiding us to where our next destination is. Have a great day.